Tonight, Chicago Public Schools telling students to stay home for remote learning again tomorrow because the union is telling teachers to stay home. The union and CPS remain at odds over in-person learning, and a strike is looming.
We want to teach, we want to reopen, and we want to do it safely.
The union could hit the picket lines as soon as tomorrow, potentially. Negotiations did continue today, but there's been no word from the bargaining table. The union does not believe the district's precautions go far enough. They want vaccinations for teachers and staff.
We have had outbreaks. We have had a cluster at a couple of schools. We have had over 60 schools report specific incidences of COVID. Staff and students.
No one can guarantee that there won't be someone within the school community that might test positive. That's not the issue. The issue is what do we do to put in mitigations to minimize the possibility of any school spread.
The mayor said those plans are already in place and insists that they are working. Now, the dispute between CPS and CTU is now making national headlines.
And joining us to talk about that is Washington Post correspondent Kim Bellware. Kim, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You were saying in this article that the strike, the impending strike, which could happen tomorrow, will be called a safety strike, which is, of course, about safety conditions and things like that. But the American Federation of Teachers, which is the CTU parent organization, says a few strikes have happened because most schools have figured out how to reopen safely. What is the problem with Chicago public schools, do you think, according to the union?
Well, one thing that the union has pointed out, and the mayor has actually conceded this point too, is that given how big the district is, it's the third largest in the country, there are just different considerations. Not everything that has worked in other districts will necessarily translate to Chicago. Now, the mayor, who is obviously arguing in favor of reopening, has pointed to things like the recent report from the CDC that was released yesterday that indicated some of the school districts that were surveyed around the country were able to reopen with pretty minimal increases or not meaningful increases in community spread. But the union is pointing to what they say are the experiences that they are having when their teachers go into the classrooms. We have heard from teachers who say that, despite what the district is telling them or what the district is promising, they either haven't seen what's been promised or they don't have confidence that what is being promised is actually going to be met with some kind of follow through.
Well, this seems like a multi-pronged argument. Tell us what you have found as you've looked at this around the country. It seems to have started with concerns about what you can put inside the classrooms, that is the PPE, how you can make improvements to the ventilation system. Now, the argument seems to be going to getting the vaccinations into the staff members and the teachers. Is that an accurate reflection?
You're right that there are, those are the issues that the union, those are among the issues that the union has brought up. Some of the places where the union and the district still seem to be in disagreement does concern vaccinations. The teachers union says that they want to be vaccinated before they go back into the classrooms. The district has proposed vaccinating or prioritizing the vaccinations for teachers who work in the 10 zip codes with the highest infection rates. The union said that's not gone far enough. They are also saying with teachers in line to get vaccinations, already with more expected throughout February, why not wait another quarter? But Mayor Lori Lightfoot has said that for the students who are suffering the worst education losses from remote learning, more time is just going to be more detrimental to how far they've already fallen. But some of the other things that the teachers are asking for is adequate ventilation. The district has made a big deal of mentioning $100,000 in investments that they've made for things like PPE, ventilation, filtration. When we get on the ground and talk to some teachers, it's been really inconsistent. Some have told us that they were given filters that look like they're to filter a bedroom and they have multiple classrooms. Others are saying, while the district has said engineers have okayed their classrooms as having adequate ventilation, what that really means in practice is that they have a window they can open in the winter.
Kim, if schools do strike here in Chicago, could this have a domino effect to other districts across the country?
This is something that I asked a lot of labor experts today. There are a few reasons that they do think it could be significant, but they were cautious to say what happens in Chicago wouldn't necessarily portend direct action in other districts, because other districts have different ages of buildings, different COVID rates, different makeups of their teacher unions. Every district just has so many different factors that they're bargaining with, to where there might not be an immediate effect based on what happens in Chicago. That said, consistently across the board, labor experts have also pointed out that the Chicago Teachers Union is one of the most powerful labor unions in the entire country, let alone Chicago. And they have kind of been a model union, especially over the past decade, for really expanding what is possible at the bargaining table. We remember from 2019 during the teachers' strike, they made affordable housing one of the issues that they brought to bargaining. That's something that hadn't really been done before. And so there is a lot of thinking that whatever the teachers union can stake out will be an indication for other districts of what might be possible, how they might use bargaining to address issues like safety. The other part of that is, even though the district and the union continue to fight with one another, they still might find some kind of cutting edge solutions that other large metro districts, this is an important caveat, it would be other large districts, would look and say, Chicago, this is what they figured out, we might be able to try the same.
And finally, in the last few seconds we have left, the CDC came out with its own renewed guidelines based on more reports that they've examined. Can you tell us whose side that sort of bolsters as we move forward?
Well, that report was definitely embraced very strongly by the mayor and CPS CEO Janice Jackson yesterday. So they are seeing that as further support for their position that school reopening is safe.
Kim Bellware, Washington Post correspondent. Thank you so much. Be safe, be well.
Thank you.
Thanks.